Back at it again. We're on cups. It says predominant color, shades of blue. Ace of Cups, matrix of water. Silver chalice, vertical, in the air above a sea of blood. From its blood-filled bowl issues a fountain of blood in 3 streams. The 2 outer streams arc over and fall back into the sea, but the central stream extends upward and expands at its top into a large red rose. Upright, happiness, gentle pleasures, receptiveness, fertility, wellspring, I don't know what that means, fountain of youth, renewal, vitalization, purification. Inverted, instability, mutation, uncontrolled growth, excess, wildness, spoiling, surplus, waste. Oh, show the picture. Fountains of blood. The 2 of Cups, devotion of water. Get the little picture. A dark-haired high priestess of Bast pours red wine from her silver cup into the upheld cup of a youth in sandals and the richly colored tunic of a nobleman who kneels at her bare feet with a wreath of flowers around the long golden hair of his head, an expression of joy on his face. Between them in the background is a statue of the goddess Bast in the form of a cat seated on a square pedestal. Upright, love, concord, affection, marriage, a happy home, union, harmony, soulmate, commitment. Inverted, folly, silliness, extravagance, inappropriate affection, puppy love, infatuation, hopeless devotion, love squandered, dissipation. The 3 of Cups, abundance of water. The young man, obviously drunk, dances between 2 laughing, bare-legged priestesses of Bast within a circle of flowers. One has her arm linked through his and is bare-breasted. The other, more discreetly clothed, is the high priestess who inducted him into the cult. She holds his opposite arm and pulls. They seem to be trying to tear him apart. Each of the 3 holds a brimming cup of red wine. And that wine cult, she gets crazy. Upright, abundance, good fortune, happy outcome, fulfillment, completion, enjoyment, celebration, rejoicing, merriment. Inverted, sensuality, excess, carried away, frenetic delight, Epicureanism, indulgence, excess, surfeit, surfeit, reveling. They all seem to be reveling. Okay. The 4 of Cups, indulgence of water. You can see this party's going bad. Some shit's looking off. The head priestess holds out her wine cup, brimming with red wine, toward the young man, as though offering to fill his cup, but he turns his face away from her with an expression of dissatisfaction. His own cup droops in his hand near his groin, and the cup is obviously empty. In the background, a drunken man and a woman embrace lewdly and kiss near the statue of Bast, wine cups in their hands. It'd be like that. Upright. Restlessness, dissatisfaction, boredom, seeking after novelty. Dalliances. Dalliances. Whatever that means. Wariness. Loss of interest. Inverted. Aversion, disgust, fatigue, emptiness, ennui, ennui, resentment, distaste, petulance, bitter dregs, 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 getting the dregs. Oh damn, this shit's just getting crazier. Five of Cups, the frustration of water. And this shit's getting weird. Like a guy lurking in the background. What's he doing? The High Priestess lies sprawled asleep across splendid silken pillows, her cup tipped over and spilling the dregs of its red wine at her side. On a low bed, the other priestess and a youth lie together unconscious, their limbs intertwined, 4 empty cups lying beside them. The young man stands some distance from the priestess with his back to her, his body modestly wrapped in a black cloak, his head bowed with dejection. Upright, disappointment, anxiety, sadness, hope dashed, bad news, unkind treatment, insult from a friend, troubled marriage, meager inheritance. Inverted, loss, deceit, treachery, ill will, broken friendship, failed project, inheritance withheld, pleasure denied. Alright. 6 of Cups, satisfaction of water. We got a guy going up to the priestess. The young man, barefoot and robed in the simple white linen of an acolyte, his head shaved, kneels within the temple of Bast to receive from the high priestess an empty silver chalice, which she presents to him on its side in both her hands. She wears a modest white linen robe trimmed in gold cloth, a serene expression on her face. Behind them is a darkened open archway leading into the inner sanctum of the Temple of Bast. It's framed by 2 pillars, one of white alabaster stone and the other of red porphyry. Porphyry, whatever that is. Porphyry. Porphyry. Arrayed above the arch are 5 silver cups in the shape of a pentagram, their bowls pointing outward, stems toward the center. I didn't notice that. The pentagram of cups up there. Alright, upright, increase, gain, expectation of happiness, a wish granted, renewed hope, awakened enthusiasm, new purpose, beginning of welcome changes. Inverted, smugness, unwarranted expectations, vanity, self-assertion, making demands, presumption, thanklessness. 7 of Cups, yearning of water. The young man has ventured through the ark into the inner sanctum of the temple, the arch, which suddenly has filled with radiance that obscures everything except a pentagonal array of 5 silver chalices in the air, encircling the head of what appears to be to the wandering acolyte to be the living goddess Bast, who stands beneath the pentagon of cups with the body of a beautiful woman, but the head of a cat. Light emanates from the green eyes and tranquil countenance of the goddess. The young man extends his empty chalice in supplication, but the goddess makes a gesture of denial by holding her right palm flat above the open mouth of the chalice, brimming with milk in her left hand. I don't know if I showed this. No milky for you. Upright. Unfulfilled promises, visions of success, passive victory, error, deception, initial advantage is lost, empty sentiment, vain imaginings, wishful thinking. Inverted. Drunkenness, selfish indulgence, lustfulness, deceit in love, dishonest friendship, hypocrisy. Eight of Cups, stagnation of water. Here you get the guy turning his back. The young acolyte stands with his back to the goddess, silver chalice clutched close to his chest in both hands, a stubborn expression on his face. She extends her hand to him in welcome, but he does not see it. Arranged on the floor in a row on his right side are 4 silver chalices, tipped on their sides and empty, their bowls pointed away from him, and on his left side 3 empty silver chalices in a row, similarly tipped away from him. Upright. Temporary success, one's own worst enemy, lack of motivation, a prize cast away, decline in interest, indolence. Inverted. Success abandoned, self-defeat, immobility, paralysis, depression, misery. 9 of Cups, benediction of water. The cat-headed goddess Bast, her breasts bared, pours streams of milk from 2 silver chalices that she holds on either side of her body at the level of her breasts. Each stream falls into 3 silver chalices, arranged into a pyramid on the floor beneath, the milk in the upper chalice spilling over to fill the 2 lower chalices. The young acolyte kneels to the side of the goddess and holds out his chalice to intercept one of the streams so that it overflows into the upper vessel of that pyramid and thence into the 2 chalices beneath. They got some real shit going on there. Upright. Success realized. Material pleasure, well-being, contentment, satisfaction, pride in achievement, wish achieved. Inverted. Self-praise, full of oneself, vanity, self-congratulation, bragging, conceited, generous, but foolish. 10 of Cups, fulfillment of water. The high priestess and the acolyte stand facing each other on either side of a statue of Bast in the shape of a seated cat. He holds out in both his hands a silver chalice filled with white milk, preparing to sip from its brim, and she holds out a similar chalice filled with red wine. They gaze into each other's eyes across the chalices with understanding and affection, separated by the benevolent form of the goddess. He is enclosed in a crescent of 4 chalices filled with white milk that stand upon the floor at his feet, and she, by an opposite crescent, of 4 similarly arrayed chalices filled with red wine. So okay. Upright. Success perfected, achievement realized, sustained happiness, a wish completely fulfilled, heart's ease, ideal love, perfect friendship, cup runneth over. Inverted. Wantonness, excess, drowning in pleasure, intemperance, lack of modesty, wastefulness, ingratitude, resentment. All right, so that was it for the cups. Now we're getting into swords. Predominant color, shades of yellow. Just found this yellow rock the other day at a job. So let's see what the swords are about with their shades of yellow. Ace of Swords, Matrix of Air. Looks like you got a sword with a little face behind it. He's singing or screaming. Maybe he saw something. An elaborate ceremonial dagger with a broad straight blade and a dragon scale hilt floats vertically in the air with its point upward. The blade surrounded by a flickering aura that is the color of blood. Its pommel of yellowed human bone is carved in the shape of an inverted skull. Yes, pommel meaning the back end of the sword, the bottom. Little skull is yellow. Inhuman eyes glare above the metal crescent that forms its stylized guard. In the darkness behind it is the vague sense of a shadowy countenance, but only the red serpentine eyes have fully materialized. Upright, triumph, conquest, power for good, benign control, invoked force, intellectual clarity, penetration, force for good. Inverted, despotism, wrath, concentrated force, violation, overkill, domination, force for evil. Alright, Two of Swords, reconciliation of air. Here you got what seems to be like a generic wedding photo, but she's got a fucking knife. Beneath the palm trees in the garden at Damascus, a young Arabian nobleman with a handsome bearded face embraces a beautiful harlot with dark hair and a red dress. They have evidently just ceased to fight. His short, straight sword has slipped unnoticed from his hand to the pathway by his feet, and she holds a dagger, drooping and forgotten at her side as they kiss with smoldering passion. Upright, truce, restoration of peace, differences resolved, a quarrel ended, unselfishness, sympathy, understanding, balance achieved. Inverted, continuing tension, lingering resentment, tactlessness, disloyalty, imposture, unintended injury. The Three of Swords, regret of air. Regret of air. Dude with the dagger in his chest, the homie has his sword back. The lovers clasp hands and stand side by side, staring down at the corpse of the bearded man's rival for the harlot's affections. He grasps his drooping sword in his free hand, she her dagger. At his belt is an empty dagger sheath. Their mood is solemn as they contemplate the consequences of what they have done. Another dagger stands upright from the bloodied chest of the corpse, a foreign mercenary who was evidently surprised and killed before he could find a weapon with which to defend himself. Upright, absence, delay, disruption, sorrow, separation, tears, faithfulness, promise kept, honesty. Inverted, strife, mischief making, evil pleasures, sowing discord, alienation, confusion, error. Alright, Four of Swords, repose of air. They're holding a casket, I'd imagine. Through a deserted Damascus street, 4 mercenary soldiers carry a plain wooden coffin containing the corpse of their murdered comrade. Each holds his naked sword upright in his free hand. Their expressions are grim, their eyes vigilant as they search the shadowed doorways for potential threats. Upright, rest after struggle, end of worry, repose, convalescence, recovery, peacefulness, hermit's retreat, solitude, refuge, inverted, need for vigilance, exile, appeasement, Danegeld, Danegeld, circumspection, precautions, safe house. Alright, that was the Four of Swords. Five of Swords, weakness of air. Swords pointed at a dude, another dude with a sword behind him. The bearded noble lover crouches in the street, his arms raised in supplication, an expression of fear on his handsome face. His sword lies beside him in the dust. The 4 foreign mercenaries who carried the coffin of the dead lover to his grave stand around the man, making threatening poses. Swords directed at him, mocking his weakness with expressions of derision and contempt. His powerful family protects him from death, but not from humiliation. Okay. Upright, loss of dispute, defeat, failure, unfavorable ruling, display of weakness, troubles, anxiety for the future. Inverted, malice, spite, lies, mockery, poverty, avarice, avarice, cowardice, cruelty, dishonor, taking advantage of the weak. Six of Swords, scheming of air. You got some fucking back alley drug deal going on, some crazy shit. They doing some shit. They scheming. The nobleman, his face bruised and cut from his latest encounter with the mercenary soldiers, pours gold pieces from a leather purse into the outstretched palm of an assassin who is dressed all in black. The assassin holds the end of his black silk scarf across his mouth and nose with the other hand to conceal his identity from his employer, and stares at the gold with hawk-like eyes. A row of 4 narrow throwing knives is visible in a harness strapped around his upper arm. A long straight sword is slung in its scabbard across his back, and a curved dagger hangs in its sheath from his belt. He's gonna cut some motherfuckers. Upright, resolution, solution, labor commission, task, confession, declaration agent, envoy, hired hand, patience. Inverted, selfishness, conceit, expedient action, impatience, problem made worse. 7 of Swords, instability of air. The bold-hearted harlot steals a sword from its place on a rack that holds 6 swords, a grim expression on her face as she silently slips away with the naked weapon. It is her intention to avenge the humiliation of her lover. A sword maker sits in the back of the shop at his grinding wheel, putting an edge on one of his weapons. He does not notice the presence of the woman in red. Upright, weak plan, unstable effort, half-hearted attempt, futility, vacillation, vacillation, doubt, compromise, unreliable. Inverted, quarreling, obstruction, vain attempt, insolences, affronts, betrayal, untrustworthy, poor advice. 8 of Swords, constraint of air. Got the picture. The harlot stands in the doorway of a military barracks and stares with incomprehension at the scene of a murder in the room beyond, her stolen sword forgotten in her hands. On the sleeping cots of the shadowed barracks, 4 mercenaries lie dead. A small throwing dagger projects from the heart of each corpse. On the wall hang 3 crossed swords. Upright, bad news, crisis, restriction, constraint. Chagrin, Chagrin, the unforeseen, setback, small-mindedness. Inverted, fatal error, a poison, temporary bondage, pettiness, obsessed with details, interference, ill fortune. Nine of Swords, despair of air. The harlot and the noble stand back to back. Her head is bowed in sorrow as she presses her palm to her brow. He wears an expression of discontent and irritation. It is evident that they have just argued. On the wall behind them is yellow tapestry, bearing an embroidered design that shows a row of 9 swords, 5 pointing left and 4 pointing right. The swords slant toward the backs of the 2 figures. Upright, delay, deception, disappointment, shame, suspicion, suffering, loss, or suffering, then loss, hardship, heartlessness, cruelty. Inverted, obedience, faithfulness, patience, endurance, resignation, acceptance, martyrdom, persistence in the face of difficulty. 10 of Swords, abandonment of air. Shit, ain't looking too good for the homie. Let's see what happens. The bearded nobleman bends his neck as he kneels across a block beneath the enormous black sword of an official executioner who wears a leather hood to conceal his face. The wrists of the young man are bound together. His face wears an expression of mingled terror and despair. Behind the raised wooden platform upon which the public execution is being enacted, 9 arms brandish naked swords in the air. Upright, disruption, failure, defeat, ruin, affliction, loss of discipline, mental collapse. Inverted, insolence, impermanence, temporary authority, momentary advantage, time running out, unrealistic view, loss of touch with reality. Alright, we're getting into the discs, y'all. Damn, we might finish this in one go. Ace of Discs, Matrix of Earth. Get the sigil in the hand on the disc. An inhuman hand extends upward, its long fingers and blackened talons curling around the leaden disc that bears cast into its surface a detailed version of the Elder Seal. So that's what it is, the Elder Seal. Upright, material gain, productive labor, wealth, prosperity, valued possessions, property. Inverted, burden of ownership, responsibilities, duties, danger of theft, anxiety about money, lack of trust. 2 of Discs, inversion of Earth. We got some cemetery scene. Let's see what's happening. A bearded necromancer stands beside an open grave beneath the light of the waning crescent moon and watches while a naked black-skinned ghoul drags out the corpse of a woman still wrapped in her linen shroud. Her face is covered, but her sex is obvious by her slender waist and the fullness of her hips beneath the linen. The ghoul's clawed hands are well adapted to digging in the soil, and his thin limbs are much stronger than they appear, allowing him to easily wrest the corpse from its bed of earth. On 2 of the low tombstones of the cemetery is carved a simple version of the Elder Seal. Upright, change, transformation, alternation, cycles, gain and loss, harmonious revolution, ebb and flow, cheerfulness, recreation, rhythm of life, a message, a visit. Inverted, forced cheerfulness, unwelcome change, arguments, inconsistencies, downturn of fortunes, bad news, making the best of it. 3 of Discs, purpose of Earth. An attractive young sorceress creeps in stealth away from the corpse of an executed murderer whose body has been hung within a tall and narrow iron cage on a gibbet at a crossroad as a warning to others. The left arm of the decaying corpse is missing, its hand and forearm. She cradles this gruesome prize to her bosom as though it were an infant. From the base of the iron cage dangle 3 iron discs engraved with the shape of the Elder Seal. Upright, work, skilled labor, craft, constructive force, building up, erection, increase in material things, clever use of skills. Inverted, mediocrity, shoddy construction, incompetence, negligence, weakness, flawed work, hidden errors, impending malfunction. 4 of discs, generation of earth. The sorceress fashions a hand of glory in her workshop. It stands upright on her table, the wasted hand of an executed murderer, its bony fingers extended upward like the naked limbs of some lightning-blasted tree. On the tip of each finger is taper made from human fat, its tallow dripping down around the finger. She uses a wisp of straw to light the candles from the flame of an oil lamp that illuminates her work table. On the table surface lie 4 silver medallions inscribed with the Elder Seal. Upright, dominion, rank, earthly power, legacy, inheritance, property, guarding possessions, a safe, vault, a strong box, gain of money. Inverted, covetous, stingy, suspicious, unoriginal, unenterprising, miserly, miserly. Guess that means you like to be miserable. Narrow-minded, penny-wise, and pound-foolish. That's an interesting one. No prospects for advancement. 5 of discs, trouble of earth. He's stealing. The necromancer hunches his shoulder and pulls his cloak around him as he walks along a street away from 3 ragged and dirty-faced peasant children of various ages, who throw stones at his back and mock and jeer at him. The man's bearded face is dark with anger and the promise of future malice. In his arm, he cradles protectively a large black book with the cover of which bears 5 discs, each inscribed with the Elder Seal. Upright, loss of a job, material troubles, bad investment, business worries, moral support, understanding, friend in need, shared difficulties, determination. Inverted, destitution, bankruptcy, loss of possessions, ruin, chaos, discord, friendlessness, obstinacy, 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 blaming others. 6 of discs, reception of earth. The sorceress passes the completed hand of glory to the necromancer, who stands on the side of a deserted road under a dead tree. He receives it while at the same time extending her payment with his other hand. Upon his palm rests a fresh human heart, somewhat below the adult size, suggesting that it is the heart of a child. Each stares meaningfully into the eyes of the other, but no words are spoken. 6 discs, carved with the Elder Seal, hang from the limbs of the dead tree. Upright, power, influence, rank, title, achievement, success, prosperity, time in the sun, material gains, ventures prosper, generous and just. Inverted, insolence, patronage, buying favors, bribes, misuse of funds, abuse of position, favoritism, cronyism, corruption. 7 of discs, squandering of the earth. The necromancer stands in a posture of frustration within a large and elaborate chalk circle drawn on the stone floor of his vault. The fingers of his right hand like claws as he tries to command the soul of a young woman back into her corpse. The body lies at his feet, half within the circle, her shroud peeled back to reveal her death-pale face and naked shoulders. The spirit of the woman, a glowing cloud of light, flees away from the necromancer with an expression of horror upon its partially formed features. He brandishes the hand of glory like a macabre yet impotent weapon. 7 discs bearing the simplified Elder Seal are arrayed around the circle. Upright, blighted hopes, good money after bad, unfulfilled expectations, disappointment, scant gains, your gains are scant, unprofitable labor, inverted, misery, enslavement, necessity, loss of place, humble condition, betrayal of trust, business dispute, failed enterprise. 8 of discs, analysis of earth. The woman's corpse lies on a table in the necromancer's vault. He is laid her torso open and studies with intent gaze her organs and entrails strewn out over her corpse, which glow with a strange light of their own. The hand of glory burns on a stand behind him. On his arm, he cradles the great black book open for reference to a page bearing the Elder Seal. 7 similar seals are carved along the edge of the table. Upright, skill, craftsmanship, care over details, employment, a commission, industriousness, agriculture, excessive prudence, management of assets, inverted, avariciousness, 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 hoarding, meanness, fear of risk-taking, lacking in enterprise, too much attention to small things, low cunning. All right. 9 of discs, the fulfillment of earth. The shade of the dead woman, naked and glowing with a soft, cool light beneath the waning rays of the honored moon, the horned moon, crescent moon, stands beside the necromancer and gestures to a spot under a square stone obelisk where a black-skinned ghoul has dug the ground, unearthing a buried strongbox. Her posture is subdued and sad. The face of the necromancer glows with exultation. He starts eagerly toward the box while the ghoul holds up a large golden medallion on a chain it has just drawn from the interior. The medallion bears the Elder Seal. The Elder Seal. 8 similar seals appear to be on the breast of the necromancer's ceremonial robe. Upright, inheritance enjoyed, increase in possessions, material gain, wise management, security. Inverted, ill-gotten gains, crassness, covetous, vulgarity of display, mismanagement, enterprise and difficulty, theft. Ten of discs, possession of earth. The necromancer stands beneath the stars with face and arms upraised in mighty invocation. Around his neck hangs the medallion with the Elder Seal. In the night sky above his head, an enormous dark face stares down at him, its features vague and distorted as though it were just manifesting. The body of the necromancer is surrounded by the glowing bodies of familiar spirits who fly around his torso and limbs, trailing their ethereal substance behind them, like serpents. The great book rests opened on a reading stand before him. The back of the stand bears the Elder Seal. Behind him on each side are stone pillars that frame him as though in an open doorway. Each pillar bears 4 images of the Elder Seal. upright, family affairs, the homestead, wealth, retirement, pension, a gift, end of work, prudent investment. Inverted, dullness of wit, lack of enterprise, sloth, loss, robbery, inability to handle money, end of game, gambling debts. Don't do that. All right. That's it for the cards, and now we're into chapter 7, divination. We're almost done here. We are almost done. We'll probably get through this. Let's do it. The Necronomicon tarot can be used for any of the standard divination methods that you will find in other books on the tarot. The technique presented here is original and relies on the dynamic interaction between the trumps and the suit cards. As a general rule in divination, the trumps represent higher forces and cosmic principles, whereas the suit cards stand for human beings and the events in their lives. This is only a rule of thumb for using the cards in practical divination, since each card has both a higher and a lower aspect to its nature. But it does not hurt to think of the trumps as cosmic in their significance and the suit cards as earthly. The Necronomicon layout is designed to provide a general life reading into the present and immediate future situation of the inquirer. It gives insight into five areas: family life, social life, work life, love life, and school life. Divide the deck into 2 packs, one containing the 22 trumps and the other containing the 56 suit cards. Shuffle both packs thoroughly, taking care to break them into 2 parts every now and then, and rotate one of the packets so that there is a good mix of upright and inverted cards. This layout takes into account the meanings of inverted cards. However, those who prefer not to employ inverted cards, which are known as reversals, in divination, can simply keep all the cards upright when shuffling the 2 packs and read them all upright in the layout. It's a matter of personal preference. Taking reversals into account will generally make a reading less positive, and if too much emphasis is placed on the significance of the inverted cards, the reading can become so bleak and depressing that it loses all usefulness. The diviner should be aware of this danger and avoid overly stressing the hurtful aspect of the inverted cards. This is especially true when using the Necronomicon tarot for divination, because many of the images are darker and more threatening than those of a regular tarot. Reversal has the effect of weakening the purity or forcefulness of a card. As a result, a generally favorable card becomes less favorable when it is reversed. However, when a generally harmful card is reversed, the same weakening action can make it slightly less bad. Sometimes the action of reversal causes the pure meaning of a card to be corrupted or partially obscured, like a lamp viewed through a dirty pane of glass. As a result, the reverse card may take on a slightly different but still related meaning to its significance when upright. Reading reversals is a bit of an art, which is perhaps why some diviners prefer to avoid them entirely. Take up the pack of suit cards and deal out a row of 5 cards face down from left to right. Set the pack aside. Take up the pack of trumps and deal a similar row of 5 cards face down above the first row, also from left to right. Lay a 6th card from the trump face down above the middle card in the upper row, and set the pack aside. The upper row is known as the masters. The lower row is known as the servants, and the single card at the top is called the card of fate. The first master on the left is the trump of the family life of the inquirer, and the servant immediately below it pertains to the relatives of the family members. The relatives and family members. The second master rules the social life of the inquirer, and its servant deals with the friends or acquaintances. The third master concerns the work life, and its servant gives insight into co-workers, bosses, and subordinates. The fourth master is the card of the love life, and its servant pertains to the love or spousal interest of the inquirer. The fifth master is about the school life, and its servant gives insight into teachers, guides, or mentors. The solitary card of fate that stands above all the others shows a ruling higher influence over the immediate future of the inquirer that may affect any of these 5 areas of life. The upper row of masters pertains to the present situation. It gives the environment or framework of the inquirer's life in which events unfold and actions are taken. The lower row of servants shows the near future, things that will occur to cause changes to the existing circumstances and the individuals most concerned with those events. The card of fate is timeless and may affect both present and future conditions. When the number cards of the suits from ace to 10 turn up on the row of servants, they define the events in which the classes of people in that area of the inquirer's life will play a part. When a court card turns up on the row of servants, it indicates an individual who will dominate that area of life in the near future. The presence of a court card shows that the person it represents will be more important in the life of the inquirer than the events connected with the person. And then here's just a layout real quick before we go on. Just the upper row, lower master servants, card of fate. No, it's backwards, but whatever. Pretty simple. Okay, here we go. For example, the servant under the master of family life shows the actions of relatives and family members in the home environment. If it is a number card, it indicates particular actions taken by a relative or family member. But if it is a court card, it identifies a specific individual who is a relative or family member who will be more important in the life of the inquirer than the near future events surrounding the person. The card of fate is a kind of wild card that can be used as the key to understanding the layout. It should be considered in conjunction with the pair. It should be considered in conjunction with each pair of master and servant as a link between them that influences and defines their dynamic interaction. The master gives the background as it presently exists in that particular area of life. The servant shows the future unfolding of events that grow out of the present situation, emphasizing either the events themselves in the case of a number card or the person at the center of those events in the case of a court card. The card of fate suggests how the future may have evolved out of the present. Okay, the card of fate also shows, in a more general sense, the overall direction of the inquirer's life in the near future, its prevailing tendency or inclination. It should be turned first and considered by itself at the beginning of a reading to obtain the keynote for the interpretation of the layout, and also considered alone at the end of the reading as the final summation of the message of the cards concerning the inquirer's life. It is not a card of fatality, but should be taken as a guide and a warning. If it is positive, the trend in the near future will be positive in general. But if it is negative, the trend will be more difficult and require caution and thoughtfulness in the area indicated by the card of fate. First, turn the card of fate upright from left to right to preserve its orientation. Consider its general significance in the life of the person receiving the reading. The remaining cards are read from left to right in pairs. Turn each pair over from side to side to ensure that their orientation is maintained, that the upright cards remain upright and reversed cards remain reversed. First, turn the master and consider its significance in the context of the area of life it rules. Then turn the servant below and analyze its relationship to the master. Think of how it evolved out of the master and how the master influences and constrains its action. Now consider the influence of the card of fate in conditioning the link between the master and the servant. The master of each pair is passive or background. The servant is the active agent that functions within the frame of the master. The servants all represent people in the life of the inquirer, with emphasis either on what they will do in the case of the number cards or who they are in the case of the court cards. The card of fate acts as a filter that limits and colors the dynamic between each master and servant. Depending on its nature, the action of each pair may be strong or weak, assisted or hindered, constructive or obstructive. When all the cards are face up on the table, look across the line of the masters for any trend or common thread that connects all 5 cards. Then study the line of servants for any common trend. For example, a predominance of particular suit or several court cards. 2 court cards side by side may indicate 2 people working together, either in cooperation or in conflict in the life of the inquirer. Aces generally signify an initiative or a new beginning, whereas tens signify a completion or conclusion and closure, and the closure that it brings. The wands as a group are willful and enterprising. The cups are emotional and affectionate. Swords are intellectual and divisive, and the pentacles are tangible and materialistic. The master of the family life shows the personal living environment of the inquirer. This will usually be a house or an apartment, but in general, it's wherever the person sleeps for the night. It also pertains to the family homestead, particularly in the case of those who have not yet fully moved away from that environment, such as a university student living in a dormitory at university. It is the place of the family where living is done. The servant shows the actions of other family members as they bear on the future life of the inquirer. It encompasses immediate family members such as father, mother, brothers, and sisters, as well as relatives such as uncles, aunts, and cousins. In general, it bears only on blood relations, the exception being close adopted family members. The master of the social life is the background environment in which the inquirer seeks social amusement, and when not at home or at work. It pertains to regular haunts such as clubs, the houses of friends, bars, or taverns where a lot of time is spent, and any hangout where the inquirer goes to relax and have fun. Its servant shows the actions of acquaintances and friends. It does not so much bear on very close friends, but has to do with more casual friendships of social convenience. These are the people the inquirer interacts with in various social settings apart from his family and relatives. The master of work life reveals the nature of the work environment in which the inquirer pursues his career or earns his living. It may be an office, factory floor, or more flexible and variable environment. In the case of those who work careers that cause them to work outside or move from place to place, such as surveyors, road workers, or real estate agents. The servant expresses the future actions of co-workers, subordinates, and superiors in the workplace, those who interact with the inquirer at work. The master of love life pertains to the environments in which the inquirer seeks loving companionship with an individual who is very close emotionally. This may be a bedroom, a car, a houseboat, a summer cabin, a lover's apartment, any environment where love is shared. The servant shows the actions of a lover or spouse, or more rarely, a very close friend with whom ties of love that may not be sexual are shared. The master is where the heart is, and the servant is the person to whom the heart is given. The master of school life reveals the nature of the intellectual environment where the mind is exercised and developed. It may be a school or university, or it may simply be where study is done, such as a library or a favorite reading place. It is the times and circumstances when intellectual activity takes place, when plans are made and goals in life are established. It may even be as unstructured as the circumstances under which the inquirer is compelled to reassess his or her life. The servant pertains to teachers, guides, and mentors, those of who those who assist or direct the process of learning. Although all five of the masters have been described in terms of physical environments, they also reveal the inner environments of the inquirer in these five areas of life. The master of the family life, for example, is the sense of family and home that the inquirer carries around in memory and experiences in thought and emotion. The master of love life is the inquirer's inner state of love, affection, tenderness, sharing that he or she enters from time to time, just as one might walk into a room. It would be just as well to refer to these five areas of life as zones of experience. The external environment of each only takes on its particular qualities when the internal state of thought and feeling is achieved that corresponds with it. A home is only a home because it feels homelike. A workplace is only a place of work because we go there prepared to work. One advantage of the Necronomicon layout compared with those usually given in books on the tarot is that it fully utilizes the trumps. When the entire deck of cards is shuffled together and laid out in a card spread, the trumps will usually be few in number and scattered throughout the spread. The Necronomicon layout is designed to give the trumps the importance they deserve in divination, which is greater than their number suggests. There may be only 22 trumps and 56 suit cards, but the trumps are half the tarot in their significance. A fact often lost in tarot divination. Boom. That's it. Necronomicon, Secrets of the Necronomicon Tarot by Donald Tyson. We're almost at an hour. I thought this was going to take way fucking longer. But yeah, let's do a shout out. A couple channels that got me into the Necronomicon in general. Number one, Occult Lectures. Brother Panic's always on there been talking about the Necronomicon for years, which led me to the other channel, Horror Babble, like horror movie, Horror Babble, like you're babbling about horror. And that dude is named Ian Gordon, and he actually reads a lot of the Necronomicon stories on his channel, and he's really good at reading those. And so those two channels kind of inspired me to fuck with the Necronomicon. And I just happened to go into the bookstore here. I said, let me see if I saw the tarot cards and all that, the tarot, and I said, let me see if they have a Necronomicon tarot. I'm gonna fucking buy it. And so I bought it, and then not 2 days later, I'm watching Occult Lectures, and he's doing a book list, and he happens to pull this very same Necronomicon tarot off of his bookshelf, and I was like, okay, it's said and done. I need to read this, and then was also inspired just to put it on YouTube so that I can listen to it myself when I'm out driving and shit. But yeah, super interesting shit. Yeah, Secrets of the Necronomicon by Donald Tyson. So we're gonna have fun with this shit. So we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.